get another chance.
Wow. So that's why when I see a survey.
All right, we're going to get started. Thank you for coming. My name is Sarah, and I'm the Adult Services Librarian here at ELOC. We are honored to have Jeff Kirsten from DA. I want to make sure I'm saying him the right order. DA TCP. I think it's the other way around. And he is an outreach specialist, so it's his job to come out and talk to you guys about all the things that the state does for us and things that we need to be looking out for. So, Jeff, thank you so much for coming.
All right, thanks for having me. Yes, we're going to do it. I know your applause at the beginning. Yes, we're here to do a little outreach. We're here to talk about scams and fraud. Everybody worried about somebody wanting to steal your money and all these emails and text messages and phone calls that we get. So we're going to talk about some of that today. Hopefully what I can give you are some red flags to look out for. And my hope is that when you see these red flags in the future, you can just hang up the phone, don't respond to that text, don't respond to that email, just end that communication, walk away, and hopefully not lose your money. Or your personal information that someone uses to steal your identity. So my name is Jeff. I work for the State of Wisconsin Bureau of Consumer Protection. A little background about myself. I was a police officer for almost 13 years. Certainly during that career, I saw many people stealing from each other. And to me, that's kind of what this activity is. This is theft. This is criminal activity. If this happens to somebody and there's a financial loss, we want to report it to law enforcement. They go after the bad guys. That's what their job is. Give them a chance to do that. But then don't forget about us at the state. Report it to us. And what we do is we mediate that complaint and we will try to get the money back. Now, we're not always successful, but I still think there's value in reporting it to us, even if we can't get the money back. We know what scams are out there, what's going on. I can update a presentation like this. That might help out somebody else in the future, not fall victim to that same scam. Just kick it off here real quick with some stats from the federal government. Millions of reports of scams last year. 5.4 that's on the books. Probably more concerning for me at the bottom of that slide, $10 billion lost. Billion with a B. Now, as you see on the side, there's another stat that says only 1 in 11 victims actually comes forward and reports it. We certainly understand somebody can be embarrassed or ashamed. They don't want to admit to family or friends, or maybe not even to themselves that they were scammed. All I can say is if someone doesn't come forward, well, there's certainly nothing we can do about that situation. So, of course, we urge victims, come forward, report it to us. When you report to us, we send numbers up to the federal government, so this could potentially be a more accurate number. A lot of people find this slide interesting, that younger people fall victim to scams at twice the rate of our seniors. We do a lot of presentations at high schools and colleges, and the 18 and 19-year-olds, they find this slide interesting as well. I don't know if that just the younger generation is more online and more on social media and more willing to answer the phone and talk and doesn't think this is going to happen to them. Maybe a combination of all of that. Now, if there's any good news for our younger folks, is on average, they just don't lose as much money. They don't have as much. We're waiting for somebody to say that, right? Now, don't get me wrong. It's no less devastating for that person. I mean, if it's only $50 and it cleans out the checking account, and now tomorrow rent is due and car payments and they need gas, food, groceries, and all of the money is gone, that's devastating. But of course, the older we get, hopefully we're accumulating wealth. Well, that just puts more wealth at risk. Seniors on average lose 3 times as much money. I know that number right there says $1,450. Unfortunately, I'll share some stories with you today of victims I've talked to that have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars of some of these scams. How do they scam us? They call us. We're going to talk a lot about phone calls. They reach out to us on social media. They email us. I mean, $10 billion that they're making on this that we know of. They're desperate to get their message in front of us. So it's not just phone calls. If they're going to find other ways to try to reach out to us. Not just email, but they might text us. I believe the number one scam text message right now is, we're trying to deliver your package, but we have incomplete address information. Right? Have we all received that one? You know, click here or call this number to, you know, I believe that one has now surpassed the Amazon text message that somebody charged $999 to your Amazon account. If it wasn't you, again, click here or call this number. So here's kind of how I handle all of those types of incoming messages on my phone. If I didn't order something over the last couple days, I ignore it, right? I'm not expecting a package. Just forget it, move on with my life. But if I did order something over the last couple days, I still ignore it. I mean, who knows if it might be real, it might be fake, but it's not worth my time to click those links and trust that message. If I really want to find out what's going on with the package I ordered, I go back to where I ordered it from, log into that account, go to the order history. That's where you find the real tracking information. Never take one of these shortcuts. They always want you to click that link. Who knows where that takes you. You might see things like this pop up on social media. Too good to be true. There's no such thing as sitting at home and filling out surveys and winning $1,000 Amazon gift cards. I had a really easy drive here today. Our office is just right up on the hill behind us here. But I'm going to be honest with you. If I could sit at home and fill out surveys and win $1,000 gift cards, I probably wouldn't be standing here right now. I'd quit my job tomorrow and just do one of those a day. That's pretty good money. All victims do is just give up all their personal information on these types of surveys and put their identities at risk. And they never get to the end of it, never get something for that. Too good to be true, right? All right, let's talk a little bit about phone calls. Does everybody understand that you cannot trust caller ID? They can make your caller ID say whatever they want. They can manipulate the words and the numbers. And every one of those manipulations is just a trick to get you to answer the phone. If you kind of look at it from their standpoint, step number one to get you to fall for a scam, we've got to get you to answer. Which is why I'm about to say it. I know this sounds really simple, but just don't answer if you don't recognize the number. But that takes discipline, right? You just let it go to voicemail. I bet most of your scam phone calls look local, right? Sometimes yes, sometimes no, right? A little bit of both. But they found out a long time ago you're less likely to answer some area code you've never heard of. So now what they do, they know what number they're dialing. Yours. So now they just put a number on your caller ID that's the same area code, the same prefix. Looks like it's a local phone call, 4 random numbers at the end, meant to just catch you off guard. Oh, this must be somebody I know, and I just don't have them programmed into my phone. And they try to get us to answer.
They've hijacked my number.
Ah,
And I get
interesting.
calls from people saying, I missed your call. I say, I'm sorry we didn't call, but is there anything I can do for that? Because I look like the bad guy.
Yeah. So I don't recommend somebody trying to call back those numbers that show up on your caller ID. Very likely, it might just be some innocent person that has no idea that their phone number just happened to be the random one that was used for the day. Sometimes they even spoof our phone number, our consumer protection hotline number, and there's not much we can do about it other than just sending out press releases that this is not us, we would never call you. Yep.
I got calls from Wells Fargo, and I didn't figure that Wells Fargo was going to call me. So I called Wells Fargo Security. I said, this is the number that called me. They said, yeah, they have our number. It was their number.
Yep, exactly. So they're not actually calling from that number.
That's why
That's
I
what they
answered.
put on your caller ID to make you think that's where they're calling from. So the point is that when you're on the receiving end of a phone call, you can't trust what caller ID says because they can manipulate that. You can't trust what somebody is saying because obviously a criminal will just lie to you. So when you're on the receiving end of a phone call, you just really don't know who that is nowadays.
I've gotten phone calls from myself.
Ah, yes. So why would they do that? Why would they put your own number on your caller ID? To get you to answer, to drive you bonkers and just, I want to get behind what's going on. And again, if you look at it from their standpoint, they need to get you on the line talking because then they think it's just a matter of time before they can talk you into something.
Then if there's a name attached to the number, as if it would be in your contact list, is that pretty safe?
I mean, it still could be wrong. They could have just happened to that day to just guess a phone number that happens to be one you have programmed into your address list. Now, less likely, but you just, when you're on the receiving end of a phone call, you just don't really know who that is.
So are you suggesting never? Or,
So yes, I hear what you're saying. So, I'm not saying every one of your phone calls is fake and that you should just hang up on family and friends next time they call, unless you want to. And use it. But all I can say is that even if you think you're talking to a family member or a friend, we're going to talk about artificial intelligence here in just a little bit, where they can mimic voices. Even if you think you're talking to a family member or friend, all of a sudden the conversation turns towards your money and you're getting talking to go to the bank and buying gift cards, and pump the brakes. You might not be talking to a family member or friend. That could be a criminal just impersonating somebody. Now, in a perfect world, we can just not answer the phone, right? But life happens. Eventually, you're going to be waiting for that important phone call from a doctor's office or just some important phone call, and we don't know what number they're dialing from. Sometimes we have to answer these calls. If you answer and it's a scam phone call, it's not the end of the world. As soon as you figure out it's a scam, don't say anything, don't push any buttons on your phone, just immediately hang up. Sometimes when you answer, they'll say, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
And before you know it, you just said
yes.
yes, right? Don't say yes. I think that's good advice, that we train ourselves to not say yes. We don't want somebody having a recording of that and then maybe calling up the bank or some other company we have an account with and trying to use that to get through security. But again, artificial intelligence is coming at the end of the presentation, and we'll talk even more about why you don't want to engage with these folks.
A while back, I used to get quite a few phone calls saying they were from my utility company and that I had overpaid $30 or $50. And so my first question to them was, what utility company do I have? And then they'd make up some, it wasn't Alliant Energy, it was We Energies or something. Sometimes they'll say, did the PSC approve this? And they hang up on me.
Yeah. I got one more slide for you first, and then we're going to get right to utility imposter scams. It's right there. All right, so let's talk about some actual scams that you might see. There's really nothing off limits for these criminals of who they will impersonate to try to trick you into losing your money. And one of their favorite tactics is to try to scare us. They can get us to panic about a situation. We as human beings sometimes don't make very good decisions when we're upset about a situation. Think about like a salesperson. Have you ever sat in on like a timeshare sales presentation where there's like a pushy salesperson, those hard sell techniques? Well, there's a reason why salespeople do that, because it works. Sometimes people can make us buy stuff we don't even really want to buy. It's kind of the same for the criminals. They can sometimes manipulate us into doing things we don't even really want to do. I think we're more easily manipulated than we care to admit. Well, one of their favorite tactics is to pretend to be from the government, because when you pretend to be from the government, it's easy to say scary things. I mean, we're in tax season right now, right? So they pretend to be the IRS, and you owe back taxes, and if you don't pay them right now, they're going to send the police to your house and arrest you. Or you've reached your Medicare benefit limit for the year, and if you don't take action now or do this thing, you're going to lose benefits. Or your Social Security number has been suspended, or you have a warrant for your arrest. And again, if they can just get us to, whoa, what's going on, and just catch you off guard at a busy moment, and you don't have time to kind of think this through. I know this seems like a big jump that you're going to go from that to all of a sudden you're driving to the bank to pull out money, but it's not. I've talked to so many victims that have lost money or made it all the way to the bank or the grocery store to buy those gift cards before they snapped out of it. And they all tell me the same thing. Like, I was told to watch out for this stuff, but this seemed so real. And in the moment, it just seemed like there was nothing else I could do to fix this problem. Will the federal government ever call us? No, I pretty much agree with that. I mean, I work for a government agency, a state agency, and we certainly make phone calls every day, but
You may return a call though, I mean.
yeah, exactly. I mean, but will the federal government call you out of the blue? No, they'll send a letter to your house. That's how they normally do business. But where it can get tricky, has anybody ever tried to reach out to somebody at one of these agencies? Right, it's challenging, right? I recently talked to somebody who works for Social Security in the Rhinelander office. And they told me that 60% of the incoming phone calls to their office are Social Security criminals pretending to be Social Security recipients trying to change direct deposit information. More than half. So of course, they're trying to avoid those. And then they're trying to answer the other 40% of the phone calls who are real people calling with questions. It's a little bit of a mess. So, yes.
I just started drawing Social Security, and of course, I'm having direct deposit. And I went to the bank and told them what my intention was, that after a few months of direct deposit, I'm going to open up a new account and put that Social Security money in a new account, because that account number has not been given out, even though it was given out to a government agency, you know.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And they said, yeah, good idea, they said, you know.
You can also set it up, anybody in here that's drawing Social Security, you can set it up with SS, where, let's say you do change banks and you do need to legitimately switch direct deposit somewhere else. You can set it up where you have to go in person in order to make that change, so that a criminal pretending to be you couldn't do something like that just online or over the phone. A little bit more of a pain if you need to actually make a change, but it offers more protection as well. Some of these agencies now, if you are trying to get a hold of somebody, you can make an appointment to have an agent call you back. And when you make that appointment, they'll give you a PIN number over the phone. And now at a later date, when the real agent calls you back, they're able to read that PIN number to you over the phone, and now you know you're connected to the right person. So hopefully we see more and more of that. Like when you call your bank, you know how they make you answer those password questions nowadays? Even if they recognize your voice, they still make you answer those password questions. That's a good thing. You don't want a criminal just impersonating you. Utility imposter scams, we already heard a little bit about it. Yes, they will pretend to be the power company, the cable TV, the internet provider. The one version of this scam is they'll tell you, you're behind on your bill. And we've got a crew on the way to your house right now to turn your power off. I need you to pay right now over the phone. I might be able to stop them. So this urgent, take action now, or something bad's going to happen, that's a big red flag to look out for. That's not how real companies do business. Just hang up. Just hang up. You know what? Let's just explore this for a second. What if it was really the power company and we just hung up on them? I mean, I'm their customer, not the other way around, right? That's okay. I can always hang up the phone. But I just heard something weird's going on with my bill. I probably want to get to the bottom of what's going on. Do I call the number back that just showed up on caller ID? No. Do I just Google the name of my power company and just take the first number that pops up on the screen? Be careful with that as well. Where can I find a real phone number?
On the bill.
There you go. I like that because it kind of works across the board. Every bill, every account statement, they all have phone numbers on them. Your bank statements, your credit card statements, every plastic card in your wallet, those are the phone numbers you can trust. And these things are they're only good at making outgoing phone calls. Remember, we already talked about incoming. We don't know who that is. But if I plug in the real phone number that I saw from my bill and I make an outgoing call, now I know I'm talking to the real power company. Hey, I just got this phone call. What's going on with my bill? I heard I'm behind on last month's payment. You will most likely hear, oh no, everything's fine, and put your mind at ease.
They are encouraging us all to do all our banking online so we wouldn't get bills.
Oh, go paperless, right?
Yeah, but the paper is good for stuff like this, right? I mean, there's a reason why I might want to stay with paper.
I mean, certainly your paper bill has a phone number on it, but if you go paperless, whatever that online portal is, or that gives you access to pay those accounts, the phone numbers are on those accounts as well. And those are all encrypted, secure ways of doing things. Yeah, that's incredibly safe. Yep. All right, quick little video here for you.
My name is Don Holmes. I live in Sun City West, Arizona. In this community, we're all seniors. After you move in here, even if you don't know anybody, you get to know other people you enjoy doing things with. I use the computer predominantly for email and to get the news. One day a thing pops up and kind of blocks the screen and says, you've got all kinds of viruses in your computer. The design of the pop-up had a Microsoft logo on the top, and they had a number, and I couldn't get rid of this thing on the screen. Turn the computer off, turn it back on, still there. So I called the number. They identified themselves as Microsoft. I had no feeling that there was anything wrong.
Tech support scams are real and they're causing enormous consumer injury, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, and that's just based on the FTC's own law enforcement work. Just like Mr. Holmes, a lot of people are getting pop-ups on their screens, and often they claim to be associated with a company such as Microsoft or Apple, giving them lots of credibility.
They told me they would clear what they considered to be malware in there. In order to clear it up, they needed to get into my computer and have my control of the computer turned over to them. So I gave them my password. They went in, the thing came off of the screen. When I went back to my computer the next day, I couldn't access my files.
You never let a stranger into your house. Don't let one into your computer. If you get a pop-up, don't click on a link. If you get a phone call from someone who says your computer's security is at risk, don't listen to them. Stop. Take the time to talk to a friend, talk to a family member.
When this happened to me, I was a little bit embarrassed. I mean, I consider myself fairly alert, but I was targeted and I was scammed. I didn't really want to talk about this, but I realized that if I didn't talk about it, that if I didn't file the complaint with the Attorney General, that if I didn't file a complaint with the FTC, that I would have shrunk into myself. And by talking about it, by talking to all of my friends, I began to realize that they also started talking and they started indicating that they had experienced similar things. That kind of community, that kind of exposure, it's not an embarrassment, it's just something that happens when you're a senior. You have to talk about to other seniors. What I would suggest is contact the FTC. They have a website. You can fill out a complaint online. We can be empowered with your family, your friends, and other people within your community to try to put a stop or at least protect ourselves from these kinds of scams.
Who has seen a pop-up window like that on your computer? Oh, lots of you. So they make the window the same size as the computer screen. You can't see these little X's up in the corner. It's like there's no way to close it down. I have talked to victims that have shut the laptop, opened it back up later. It's still there. They didn't know what to do on how to get rid of it. Okay, first, how do you get rid of this stuff?
Control, alternate, delete.
That's what I was just gonna say. Control, Alt, Delete. Perfect timing. We planned that ahead of time, right?
There's another way. I was told by a security guy, hold your off button 10 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
The screen
You
disappears.
guys are on the ball. Yes. So Control, Alt, Delete. If you can restart your computer, that is called a hard reset. So hold that power button down for 10 seconds. Just do a hard reboot of your computer. But you know what? Worst case scenario, if that stuff doesn't work, because I've talked to people that those power buttons have been disabled. That didn't work either. Pull the battery out of the laptop, unplug it from the wall. It might not be the best for your operating system, but trust me, it's better than calling these numbers. I've talked to victims that have called these numbers. And just like in the video, they pretend to be the good guys, Microsoft fraud, Apple support, and they pretend to be these tech support people that are going to help you with this problem. And just like in the video, they want to get into your computer. Now, I know he mentioned giving somebody his password. That's usually not what it looks like. It's much more sneaky than that. They'll just have you open up a web browser, type some numbers into that address bar, and before you know it, you're watching somebody else move that mouse pointer around on your screen. I like what they say in the video that you wouldn't let a stranger into your home. Don't let one into your computer. If you've ever seen somebody else moving that mouse pointer around on your screen and you don't know for sure who that is, disconnect from the internet, get that computer to a trusted computer repair place, hopefully local, get it scanned, because who knows what they were doing when they were in there.
We had a hack or a scam one time, I guess it'd be a hack. And when we went to get some help, or called to get some help, they went through all of our files and found that there were 900 attempted hacks and 96 were successful.
Goodness. Yeah.
Amazing, because people really don't think, well, if nothing happens, they're not doing anything, but they're always in there.
Oh, they're always in there. They'll give themselves access where they can come back anytime. That's why it's important to disconnect from the internet. If you've ever seen someone else moving that mouse pointer around, you don't know who it is. So I talked to one victim of this crime, and she gave me permission to share her story because she doesn't want to hear somebody else falling victim to the same thing. Her and her husband got this pop-up. They couldn't figure out how to get rid of it. They called the number. They pretended to be the good guys, and she gave remote access to her computer. So picture, she's on the phone, she's looking at her laptop, and they start bringing stuff up on her computer screens that looks scary. Oh my gosh, your computer's infected with a virus, and the criminals are in your computer, and this and that, and getting her all worked up. And then they tell her, oh no, you do online banking on your computer. The criminals are in your computer. They're going to steal all your money. We need to get to your money first, and we need to protect it. So they get her to panic and go to the bank and pull out all of her money, $17,000. Now, here's where the story takes a little bit of a crazy turn. They have her drive down the street with $17,000 in hand to a gas station. Any idea what was inside that gas station? So not gift cards. We haven't talked about some of the payment options yet, but cryptocurrency. Those Bitcoin kiosks and things that you see all over the place. And they walked her up to one of those, again, still on the phone. Okay, ma'am, what we're going to do is we're just going to temporarily move your money into this other account. It'll keep it safe until we can figure out what's going on with your computer. She later told me she didn't even really know what Bitcoin was. She feeds $17,000 into this machine. A receipt prints off. Okay, ma'am, I just need that information for my records. I'll add that to your case file. Remember, they're pretending to be the good guys. As soon as she reads it to them over the phone, click, they hang up on her. Because they don't need her anymore, right? She's standing inside a gas station. She just lost everything. And it all started with just a pop-up window on her computer. There's nothing wrong with your computer. These are just pop-up advertisements that they're trying to get you to panic about. Romance, relationships, sweetheart scams. This is the scam phone call. I believe the FBI says this is the #1 scam out there right now. More money lost to this than all other scams put together. And trust me, there are a lot of other scams out there. I was recently over by the Mississippi River doing a presentation for some banks, and there was a police lieutenant in the audience. And when we got to this slide, the lieutenant stood up and addressed the crowd and said, obviously I can't give you names right now, but I can tell you there's about 7 or 8 people in town that we're aware of that are all sending money overseas to boyfriends and girlfriends. And we, law enforcement, can't convince them to stop. That was the size of that town I was in was about 5,000 people. 7 or 8 people that law enforcement knows about. I think we'd all agree it's probably more. If that's happening in every city, village, town, across the state, across the nation, starts to give you an idea of just how widespread this is. So many people do things online nowadays. There's hardly anything you can do online where you can't talk to somebody. If you play games online, there's a chat button. If you're on social media, every one of them has a messenger service attached to it. We get text messages on our phones, and then just all those incoming messages, you just don't know who that is. You ever got just a weird text message out of the blue that says, hey, how are you? Or are we still on for dinner tomorrow night?
Yeah.
If you ever respond to one of those text messages, you'll probably hear back from somebody that says, oh, I'm sorry, I had the wrong number, but well, you sound interesting. Where do you live? And they'll just strike up a conversation with you. And these criminals will put the time in. They will devote months, weeks, months, even sometimes years in building up a relationship. So convincingly, just like the lieutenant told us, can't even convince the victim it's a scam. And then all of a sudden they start asking for money. And if they get the victim to pay one time, that's not the end of the scam. Honestly, that's just the beginning. And they're just going to come up with another excuse of more money and more money and more money. And these are long-term scams. All right, some red flags. Somebody could be tied up in a romance scam. The other party has professed that they love you and they've never met you face-to-face. Kind of sounds, silly to say it out loud, right? But they have all these excuses. They're in the military. They're serving overseas. You're in Wisconsin. They're in some other state. It's too far to travel. They're a citizen of another country. There's visa issues right now. They just can't visit. I mean, they're full of excuses of why they can't meet you. But then they start asking for money. And like I said, these are long-term scams. Another long-term scam are the lottery scams, the Publishers Clearinghouse phone calls and sweepstakes scams. So anybody got a phone call that you won Publishers Clearinghouse?
I got a phone call that said I had won, but I had never applied for the.
Well, that's a good way to look at it. How do you win something that you never even entered, right? Yep, exactly. Now, you hung up, perfect. Now, this isn't a scary phone call, right? This is exciting. Who hasn't dreamed what it would be like to win the lottery? You won $10.8 million and your choice of 3 cars, and they're going to be here tomorrow with a giant check and balloons, and it's happening. But then right before it happens, you got to pay a little money out of pocket. That's the red flag to look out for. Do real people win stuff in life sometimes? I mean, sure, right? I mean, I've never done it, but I hear if you go to the casino, there's a threshold. Was it like $1,200 or something like that? If you win more than that, whatever the amount is, if you win more, they fill out the tax paperwork with you right on site. Great. Take my taxes out of my winnings and just give me what's left over. But if you're telling me I got to pull my wallet out and pay to get to my winnings, I didn't win anything. That's just a scam. But again, if they get the victim to pay once, that's not the end. That's just the beginning, because then they're going to come up with another excuse and another one, and these are long-term scams. I think I have a fun little way of kind of showing you how they manipulate us. So I got a pretty good sample size here. I got a question for you. Raise your hand if you'd like to admit when you're wrong.
I tell her.
All right, so first of all, let me tell you, you're like every other Wisconsinite I've ever talked to. We're all the same, right? Okay, so here's why I asked you that goofy little question. Put yourself in the shoes of the victim just here for a second. You just made one payment, you thought you won something, or you sent some money to somebody that you thought you cared about. And now all of a sudden, request number 2 comes through. In order to not send in payment number 2, you kind of have to look at yourself in the mirror, admit you got scammed, you were wrong, cut your losses, it was only $100, $150, and just stop. That's kind of hard to do. Yeah, we might be able to do it, but it's certainly uncomfortable to admit that we're wrong. It sounds weird, but it's actually easier to hold on to that sliver of hope and buy the lie that they're selling you and send the next payment in. And then the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And if someone had trouble walking away when they'd only lost $100, how do they walk away when they've lost 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 100,000? I actually have $1 million story that a bank shared with me, where a lady thought she won 2 cars. She was cashing out $25,000 CDs to pay the fees as these cars were getting shipped to Wisconsin from California. And eventually they put a stop to it, and the daughter came in and did an audit of the account. There's $1 million missing. I'm not saying it's just from that scam. Maybe there was multiple scams going on, but there's $1 million missing, and they don't know where it went. All I can say is this: if I ever have family and friends, and maybe even somebody wearing a badge in front of me, all telling me to stop sending money to somebody, my family and friends and law enforcement are not trying to get between me and my winnings. They're not trying to get between me and a loved one. They're trying to stop me from being scammed. I just hope that's enough that'll snap me out of it. All right, one more quick little video here for you.
Granddad, it's me. An accident in Mexico. I'm in jail.
Jimmy, is that you?
Yeah, it's Jimmy. I need money for bail right now.
In jail?
You need to send money right now. Please don't tell anyone.
Scammers are tricky and can pretend to be anybody in any situation. They seem like the real deal. They play on your fears. The goal? To get you to act fast. Check out if they really are who they say they are, even if they sound like a loved one. Heard from an imposter? Report it at ftc.gov/imposters.
The grandparent scam phone call. Does anybody ever receive that one, or you know somebody who's received it? You don't mind me asking? Anybody want to share any details?
Well, I got one, and they were saying it was my grandson, who was only 6 months old, but he was talking amazingly, telling me he was in jail.
Someone told me he's already in jail. that's a perfect example of what we call a phishing phone call. They don't know if you have grandsons or granddaughters or nieces or nephews. They don't know the ages. They don't know the names. They're just hoping they catch somebody that phone call would make sense to. Obviously, it didn't. Yes.
We have friends that got that phone call, and they're really intelligent people, but got so frightened that they put $5,000 in a bottle, wrapped it in tin foil, and took it to the drop-off spot. And before they got it there, I don't remember what happened to the bank or something, but I'm thinking, you put it in a bottle and wrapped it in tin foil and you thought it was for real?
I can tell you, all the victims I've talked to, sometimes like logic goes out the window. You know, you get this tunnel vision and a family member's in trouble and I got to do this thing and and it's like I know it sounds weird, but I've talked to people that have gone through that, but they all tell me that in the moment, it was so real and it was so scary and they thought this was the thing they needed to do. Any other stories? So to me, there's kind of two versions of the grandparent scam. And we say grandparent, but again, this could be nieces, nephews, cousins. I mean, just family member in distress, right? There's the one where they call you up and they don't know the name and the family history and all this. And those are the easier ones to kind of figure out, right? I know some people, as soon as they get this phone call, immediately they'll say, "Is that you, Jimmy?" And what do you think the criminal says? Yeah, it's Jimmy. I don't have a grandchild named Jimmy. Right? And now I know for sure this is a fake phone call. Offer up a fake name and see if that voice on the other end latches onto it. One strategy we have for everybody is make a family password. That's a low-tech option, but it works. Just a unique word that's easy to remember. And if you ever get a phone call in the middle of the night, you think it's real, what's the family password? Your real family member will be able to answer that. You know what? Even if you don't have this figured out yet, what's the family password? Because if you're talking to an identity thief or a criminal, what's the next thing you're going to hear? They don't know how to answer that, so they're just going to hang up on you and go to their next person. But there's another version of the scam, and it can look like this. So I don't know if you're on social media, but let's just, for the sake of conversation, let's say you have a 16-year-old grandson or a 16-year-old niece or nephew. I bet he's on social media. Just got his driver's license, just got his first car. Guarantee he took a picture of that and posted it on Instagram, right? And 6 months ago, tagged you in a post on Facebook to wish you a happy birthday. You know, being a good family member. And I don't know, posted a video over here on TikTok. What 16-year-old doesn't want to be the next viral influencer, right? Those three things by themselves don't seem like that big of a deal. But if a criminal sees that, okay, now they know this family member is about 16 years old, just got a driver's license, here's the car they're driving, they know the name, they know what your relationship to them is, as they got your information from that Facebook post, and then they go to that TikTok video and they use AI to steal the voice. And now they call you up and it's him. It's his voice. You recognize his voice. And he is crying with you on the phone. He just crashed his new car and he's in so much trouble. And don't tell mom and dad and I need help. That's a scary phone call, right? Who can just hang up on that phone call? That's tough, right? The family password will help sort through this thing. And also, you have time to make these decisions. Reach out to the real family member that's in distress, supposedly. Reach out to the parents of the real family member that's in distress. You very likely will find out somebody is just fine. I used to be a police officer. I was at the other end of these phone calls sometimes. And you sending money at 2 o'clock in the morning is not going to make that situation better. If there is really something going on, you have time to figure out there's really something going on before you panic sending money. We're trying to reach about your car's auto warranty.
This is the Vehicle Service Department. We're calling about your vehicle's manufacturer's warranty. We sent you several notices in the mail that you have yet to extend your warranty past the factory cutoff. And this is a courtesy call to renew your warranty before we close the file. If you're interested in renewing your auto warranty now, please press 5 now, or press 9 to be removed from our list.
Don't push any buttons on your phone. That doesn't remove you from the list. It moves your number to the top of the list to get more scam phone calls. Now, we're going to talk about the do not call list here in just a little bit. They don't even know if you have a car. They don't know if you're old enough to drive. They're just calling you up, and hopefully you got the check engine light yesterday, and you're panicking, and this looks like it's going to save the day. It's all 100% fake. Now, this is the type of scammer that kind of pretends to be a real business. You know, they'll happily take your money, but then I'm here to tell you that when your car really breaks down, your situation never, ever, ever applies to their policy. But we are the Bureau of Consumer Protection. We regulate business. Because they kind of pretend to be a business, it makes it a little bit easier for us to track them down. We've actually have success stories of getting money back for folks from the auto warranty scam. But again, we need those victims coming forward so we know who to try to help out. Charity scam phone calls. Support the police, fire, EMS, those types of phone calls. Guess who doesn't have to follow the do not call list?
Charity.
They're nonprofit. So again, getting ahead of myself here a little bit where I know we haven't got to the do not call list yet, but if you're on the do not call list, you're going to get maybe real charity phone calls that want you to give money to support their cause. And for every one of those, you might get a fake charity phone call of a criminal just pretending to be with a charity that just wants to steal your money. You want to know how to tell the difference? You can't. There's no way to tell the difference. So my only advice for you is never, ever, ever give money over the phone when you're on the receiving end of the phone call. Remember it like this. Don't let someone call you up and tell you where your money should go. You should probably decide where your money should go, right? If you want to support a charity, that's great. You know who that is. You reach out to them, not the other way around.
I used to get a lot more of them, but I get these calls saying the guy is from the police department. What does he say? Support group.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to know if I can make a contribution and how much. He lingers off, certain amounts. And once I pulled this with him, and I said, send me something in the mail. I said, I'll make a decision then. And didn't I get something in the mail? I was so surprised. I thought, so was this really a scam? But a lot of times he'll say, I recognize a voice. He'll say, hello, Erica. I say, no, you have the wrong number. That's okay. I can talk to you.
I used to get one that wanted me to send money to support the policeman's ball. I was a police officer for almost 13 years.
Yeah.
I never got invited to the police. I'm pretty sure that was probably just a scam. If you want to give money, giving local is always a good idea. Then you know where your money goes. If you're looking for a charity, charitynavigator.org is a pretty well-run third-party website. It's a good place to just go and do research. Kind of breaks down all the charities and like how good they are at distributing money, and you can use that to help you find one if you're looking for one. Investment scam. So this is a slide that the Wisconsin Department of Financial Institutions asked us to put into our presentation. They handle investment scams, but scams are scams, right? So it's kind of all intertwined here. One of the biggest things that they see, it's called pig butchering. It's a version of a scam that's often associated with one of those romance scams that we talked about earlier, and cryptocurrency. Two people somehow meet. The criminal will have this hot tip on investing in cryptocurrency. They'll talk the victim into opening up an account, depositing a bunch of money. It will really, truly feel like the victim has control of what's going on here. And it'll look like that money is being invested in crypto, and it is doing really well, doubling and tripling and quadrupling. And they're showing the victim all these documents that looks like this money is doing really well, which will entice them to put more money in and put more money in and put more money in. And then when the victim goes to pull out all this money they think they earned, they only find out that it's already gone and it was stolen by somebody else immediately. Those need to be reported over here to DFI, but if you happen to just report it to us, we communicate really well with this agency, and we'll get your complaint over to them if that's where it needs to go. All right, so we talked about crypto and we've talked about gift cards here a little bit. These are the payment methods you need to look out for. This is how criminals want to get their hands on your money. Cryptocurrency, these Bitcoin kiosks, they are all over the place. Next time you're out and about at the pharmacy, the grocery store, the gas station, inside smoke and vape shops, things like that. These will be right next to the regular ATM, and it'll often have this buy Bitcoin here. And if you put a $20 bill into that machine, you just bought $20 worth of Bitcoin, even if you don't even really know what cryptocurrency is. And criminals really like it because it's not regulated by the government. It's very anonymous. And transactions are irreversible. So as soon as that crypto gets transferred to somebody else's digital wallet, there's no getting it back. Now, I am not here to say cryptocurrency is a scam, and here's the way I like to remember it. Everybody in this room is an adult, right? No 6 months old. Right? If you've done your research and you want to invest in crypto, well, you're an adult. You can do what you want with your money. But if someone else is telling you you need to buy crypto, that's most likely a scam. Gift cards. Anybody been told to watch out for gift cards? Right? We talked a little bit about gift cards. So there's nothing wrong with gift cards as long as you go to the store to buy one, to give one to somebody else as a gift. That's what they're for. And if you're received a gift card, great. Go use it. That's what it's for. But again, if someone else is telling you you need to go to the store and buy a gift card, most likely that's a scam. As soon as the victim buys that gift card, the criminal will talk them into reading the account number and scratching off the pin on the back, snapping a picture of it, texting it, or emailing it out. And the moment the victim does that, the criminal will transfer the money off that card onto a different gift card. And then onto another one, and another one, and another one. And we can kind of track that money, just like law enforcement. You can issue subpoenas and track the money, only to find, card after card after card, and very quickly that money becomes lost. So you should only ever buy a gift card when you want to give it to somebody else as a gift. And they'll talk people into wiring money, and yes.
I'm sorry. I have a friend who told me this morning that she received a gift card in the mail for what seems to be a legitimate business. She ended up following up with the legitimate business, and they determined that the gift card actually had money on it, and it was a scam they weren't familiar with, and it was Quick Trip. She went down to the local Quick Trip and said, I got this in the mail. She actually got it twice. She ignored the first one. Another mailing came with a second gift card, and they said, yes, there was money on it, but they mailed it to her. They didn't, and I just wondered if that was a scam you were familiar with, or how that might have ultimately benefited the scammers.
That is a new one.
Okay, it was to me too.
Yes, I have not heard of that. I'm trying to think real quick on my feet here of how they could maybe then call that person up and extort them that you received this fraudulently, and now you're in all kinds of trouble. And
right.
I thought maybe if you used it, those were stolen funds. Maybe some kind of an angle like that.
Right.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I know what I'm researching next time I'm back in the office. Yeah, absolutely. And then some of this stuff is still out there too. They'll talk about wiring money. We talked about cash getting, put in a bottle and wrapped in aluminum foil and sent through the mail. I mean, $10 billion, they're going to figure out a way to get their hands on that money. But crypto and gift cards are two of the big ones.
Jeff, I've heard that gift cards, you got to be careful when you buy them, that they have the scammers will go in there and take that PIN number off and get that PIN number, and they know the card number, and then they put a label back over that card, and they monitor that on their computer. As soon as they see that card's activated, they can steal whatever money's on it.
Yes, there's a couple scams out there like that. So a lot of retailers now are keeping gift cards behind the counter, because there's ways that the criminal just grab that whole stack of gift cards off the shelf, and they can either steam open the packages, or what they'll do is they'll buy one gift card and they'll activate it, and then they'll print off stickers that have the barcode for the one that they just activated. And they take this whole sheet of barcode stickers back into the store, and the ones that are all on the shelf get a new sticker. So now when you pick up one of those and I need $100 on this card, and they scan it, you didn't put $100 on that card. The $100 went into the card that's in the criminal's possession. So yeah, you want to make sure that those, and the thing is, when you're buying those cards during like the holidays, you might, buy it a month or two ahead of time, or a month or so before somebody's birthday. And then by the time that recipient gets it, that money is gone. Or something, or you don't even know that there was never money on it to begin with. So yeah, be kind of inspect those packages when you buy gift cards. Good comment. Yeah, wiring money through the mail, all kinds of different ways they're going to try to get their hands on your money. Giving an idea of how popular cryptocurrency losses are, really kind of took off there in 2021 with the reports against cryptocurrency, but then the blue bars are the losses becoming very popular. Artificial intelligence. So there's technology out there. It's coming at us. Feels like a million miles an hour, right? I know it makes me sleep good at night, as even the experts don't even really know where AI is going, right? One thing that criminals can do with AI is mimic voices. So they get it from that TikTok video that I mentioned, or if you're talking to them on the phone, I mean, it only takes 3 seconds of you talking, and they can use a computer to then mimic your voice. And this technology is only going to get more and more efficient at doing this. So again, when you're on the phone with somebody, you just don't, and on the receiving end of a phone call, you don't know who that is, even if you recognize the voice. Now, you might get a kick out of this. There's a bank over in the UK that created an AI bot. It's a grandma. Her name's Daisy. And they blasted out her phone number all over the world to all the criminals. And Daisy's job is to waste the time of the scammers. She's very computer illiterate, doesn't follow directions very well, can't do the things that the criminals want her to do. And she constantly interrupts them to tell stories about her grandchildren. And her record is she kept a scammer on the line for 40 minutes. And she's just an artificial intelligent robot. I mean, she's just a computer program. She's not a real person. So the good guys are using AI too. All right, just to wrap it up here, we got just a few minutes left. How to avoid being scammed. The federal government's not going to call you. They'll send a letter. Urgent, take action now, or something bad's going to happen. That is a scam. Don't trust somebody that asks you to lie. They ask you to lie to your bank of why you're pulling out money, or lie to your family members of why you're doing something. Someone asking you to lie is a big red flag of a scam. Don't trust an online romance that refuses to meet you in person. Be careful even with a video call. Artificial intelligence, it's only getting better and better. They can fake video calls as well. Don't give remote access to your computer. Never pay to claim a prize. Don't click on links and emails or text messages unless you know for sure who sent that to you. If you're not sure, I actually got an email at work the other day, wanted me to open like another email that was like attached to it, and then there was a link to open up something. Nope. I was like, I called the person up and was like, did you just send this to me? Like, what is going on? I have yet to hear that back from them. I am not opening that up on my state computer. Gotta follow your own advice sometimes. Only give to charities when you reach out to them, not the other way around. Investing advice. I'm not an investor, but those cryptocurrency things that we talked about, those kiosks, they take 30% off the top. If you put a $1 bill into it, you only bought 70 cents worth of crypto. I'm not an investing expert, but if you were already 30% in the hole, that doesn't sound like a very good deal. That would never be a way someone would want to invest in cryptocurrency. We already just talked about AI impersonating us. Only trust those phone numbers that are on your bills. That'll give you a good start. All right, how do we stop the phone calls from coming in? There are some federal programs out there. You know, your phone will tell you nowadays, scam likely, spam risk, medium risk, your screen turns red. There's all kinds of different messages. That's your phone telling you this is a scam, don't answer.
How do they know that it's a scam if you have an incorrect name and a caller ID number on your phone? How do they know that it's a scam, that it's not?
So my understanding basically is that the phone company knows where the real call came from. And if that doesn't match what is about to show up in your caller ID, that sounds pretty shady. So at least it fails an authentication test somehow. So at least now there's liability laws. They still have to allow that call to come through to you, but at least they tell us it's probably a scam. Hopefully that gets better and better. And, eventually we can start cutting down on this. The do not call list. Yes.
I got a call the other day. I didn't open it. It was 866 area code. course, it said spam, I got it. So I hung up on it, and then I Googled, it says, where is 866 area code? They said it's an open one, it can be anywhere.
Yeah, so probably not a real phone number. Yep. Now, you can sign up for the Do Not Call registry. I'm gonna be honest with you right up front. This doesn't really stop the scam calls, right? This is for telemarketing. Telemarketing is where a real business wants to call you up and sell you something. It's against the law to call you if you're on the Do Not Call list, but the criminals are not intimidated by that. They're gonna call you anyway. But here's the value in being on the Do Not Call list. Here comes an incoming phone call. I don't recognize the number. Well, I know it's not a real business calling me because I'm on the Do Not Call list. So by default, that number I don't recognize, it's probably just a scam phone call. It kind of makes it easier to ignore those unknown calls. So you go to donotcall.gov or call from the number you want to get on the list. You can call that number right there. All right, real quick, a couple minutes left. The FTC wants to remind everybody in this room you're a consumer. So y'all pay for cell service, landlines, maybe both. Call up your phone company and complain about scam phone calls. Many of them have blockers they can put in place on your line and things they can do to cut down on some of these scam phone calls. See what's available. With a smartphone, you have a few extra options. You can download some apps that'll cut down on some of the robocalls. But built into all of our smartphones. So if you have an Android or an iPhone, both of them, you can go into settings and you can block unknown numbers or silence unknown callers. So basically what this means is if someone tries to call you and it's from a phone number that you don't already have programmed into your address book, your phone won't even ring. It'll just dump that call right to voicemail. You can always check voicemail later to make sure you didn't miss something important. And I can help somebody set that up at the end if you would like me to. Hopefully you don't become victimized or your friends and family and loved ones don't lose money to a scam. But if it happens, we want to report it to law enforcement as quickly as possible. We can report it to the federal government at ic3.gov. They monitor that 24 hours a day. And if it was gift cards, cryptocurrency, different things like that, they do have the ability to sometimes freeze those funds before that money gets transferred too far down the line. You might need to notify your bank depending on how the money was lost, or the post office or UPS, depending on how that money was shipped out. And then just don't forget about us. We'll come in at the end and we'll see what we can do about getting that money back as well. And then I'm just going to throw this up on the screen. These are some other presentations that I offer. So if the library ever wants to have me back, or if you belong to another group or an organization and you think could benefit from this talk or anything else you see there on the screen. Identity theft is a nice follow-up to this one. Safe online shopping has been a pretty popular one for us. And then we kind of have some of the more technical presentations for like landlords and home improvement contracts, some of the different businesses that we regulate. And with that, I can open it up for questions about scams.
What do you know about the Geek Squad?
Geek Squad, I'm aware that it's a tech support business, I think associated with Best Buy.
If you've got anything on your phone, they have a number you can contact. We signed up for it, like $189 a year.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And you call them, they will hook you up with their experts, and they'll go through and get rid of, you can actually see them get rid of that email or that whatever it was.
Yeah, there's definitely there's good IT people out there as well.
Yeah, that's the cheapest and the quickest. You can do it at 2 o'clock in the morning, they're 24 hours.
Wow, good to hear.
Along with do not call, people have to recertify for that every once in a while, don't they? That's not.
No, that's actually permanent now. Years ago, the Wisconsin list got merged with the federal list, and once you're on it, you're on it. Home numbers and cell numbers can go on it. Business lines cannot go on it. Yeah, once you're on, and if you're just curious, go to the website, that donotcall.gov, and you can actually search your phone number, and it'll tell you the month and year that you signed up, just to double check.
You said do not call dot what?
Oh, let's double check. I don't want to give you the wrong address. donotcall.gov.
Not .com.
But little things like that that's a real thing. Yeah. The U.S. Post Office is USPS.com. Even though it's a federal agency, it's a .com website. Yes.
Is there anything, I didn't see anything mentioned about possible insurance fraud. I'm concerned about my own life insurance because I get a really weird mailing, and I called last year and the first thing they asked for is my social security number instead of my other number, and I got, because I wouldn't answer the question fully, I kept getting transferred, but is there anything like that out there?
So we don't really get involved in the insurance. There's a state agency, the Office of the Commissioner of Insurance. They probably would be more up to date on that. I'm not really aware of too many popular scams related to life insurance, but I'm sure they're out there. But I could put you in touch with OCI just to make sure everything's all right. Yep.
I was wondering if you would mind putting up that screen on cryptocurrency again, and if I could take a picture of it.
This one?
Yes.
There you go. You bet. All right. Any other questions? Scams? Yes.
I just recently got a smartphone and I haven't even emailed anybody, but I'm getting emails from people and from businesses, and I've never given it out. My ex-wife sent me a birthday greeting and she didn't even know I had a smartphone. How do they get that information?
Is it coming through email or through text messaging?
I'm not sure what the difference is, I guess.
Sure. I mean, some of that info is out there. Before you had a smartphone,
I just had a flip phone.
Did you have an email address though?
No.
Okay. Not sure. We can connect after the presentation and maybe kind of brainstorm on what's going on. But yeah, sometimes that information is out there, and sometimes they're just fake messages that come through just because that phone number is now been activated.
But when you block a call, they just do robocalls anyway.
Yeah, so unfortunately, just blocking a phone call doesn't really work. All you're doing is blocking that number that showed up on caller ID. And trust me when I say they never call from the number that shows up on caller ID. That would make it too easy for law enforcement to track them down, right? So they're always putting a fake number on your caller ID. So when you block those, you're just blocking some random phone number. I've actually seen that backfire where family members accidentally block each other, just because that was the number that came up on the screen. Yeah, only if it was that easy. Bummer. Thought I saw another hand.
I was just going to mention of getting several of the emails that say, oh, this is so-and-so who is a friend of mine. Say, this is Levon, and I'm sending you 14 images, then it drifts off into, and of course, I always get in touch with the person and say, did you send these? And usually they haven't.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of that on social media, imposter accounts, and then all of a sudden you start getting messages, what looks like from a friend's account, but it's not. Yeah, again, don't click those links, open those attachments unless you know for sure who sent it to you. All right, well, I don't see any other hands. Okay.
Dave. Yeah, I'm Dave Markham. I live here in McFarland. I used to work at DATCAP years ago. In fact, I was part of the purchasing that bought the Do Not Call program for us. But I'm now a volunteer with Channel 3's Call for Action. So we work very closely with DATCAP. And I brought some of our February newsletters if anybody would like to grab. I only got about 10 copies, but if you want to be on the newsletter list, you can give me your email, or I'll give you the station's email. You can send me an email, and monthly, no charge. You'll get a free newsletter. And anytime you want to opt out, you can opt out. But we've got stuff about retail purchase service complaints. We've got examples of people that we've helped, and whether we've got money back from them or sometimes it's just got their car fixed the way they want it to get fixed. So I'll leave these here, and if anybody wants to talk to me afterwards, too, I'm here for that.
And this is not a test, this is not a scam.
Yeah, that's why I'll give you the station's email, so that you can email the station, so you feel protected.
Yes.
Channel 3.
So they could do it on the phone, but when are they gonna start doing it by sending you a letter?
Oh, I'm sure they already have. That trying to reach about your car's auto warranty slide I had up there earlier, that was a postcard I received at my house.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So just because it shows up in the mail doesn't necessarily mean
IRS, they can put all the official stuff up the top.
Yeah. Yeah, they can print off all that stuff and make it look official. Obviously, it costs money to send something through the mail. It's free to email or text somebody. So, but that doesn't mean that they won't do that sometimes. Trust me, you can't trust anybody.
That's pretty much true.
All right. Thank you.